Welcome to Winds of History. We have two special guests today. Actually, they're two of my golf friends, but they both were warriors in the Second World War. Harry White. Harry, welcome to Winds of History. Harry was with the, you correct me if I'm wrong, U.S. Navy Advanced Training Submarine and Relief Crew number 6.
That's right.
That's right. Actually, you trained those submariners so that they could get out of tight squeezes and tight fixes. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay. And my next guest, they're both best of friends, is Ed Higgenbotham. Ed was, what he did, he was a lot of very large pieces of artillery equipment on the German Army. He was with the First Army, is that right?
Correct.
And you did the 187th Field Artillery, but it was 155.
155 howitzers.
Howitzers. Mm-hmm. And viewers, if you were in a German tank and a 155 landed around you, you were in trouble. If it landed on you, you were gone.
Yeah.
You were just completely gone. The tank was
destroy
gone.
it. Uh-huh.
It was a huge, heavy artillery. And what we're going to do today is start with Harry, and he can tell us a little bit about your early life, about where you grew up, and then we'll move on to the Navy later. Where did you grow up? Where were you born?
Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. And you went to high school up there and college up that way?
I was in Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Went to Penn State 1 year before joining the Navy in 1943.
It's a great school, Penn State.
It really is a great school, and I'm sorry about some of the things that are happening there now.
I am too. I'm sorry. It's a great school, and that's a wonderful part. And then you grew up there, and how did you get down here in the South?
Transfers in my company.
What company were you with?
I retired in 1989 from the Old Republic Life Insurance Company.
Okay.
I started in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Moved to Chicago, and then in 1965 moved to Memphis.
Well, great. Well,
So I'm a native of Memphis now.
Glad that you're here. You added some pleasure to our city to have you down here. We got another good golfer and a Penn State man.
Yeah, about that.
All right, now, Ed, tell us where you grew up and
well, I was
your
born,
high school and
born in
college.
Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Oh, that's a great town. I've been there many times.
My mother and my dad's with the Corps of Engineers.
Oh.
My parents moved here when I was 3 years old, and I've been in and out ever since. I attended Bruce Elementary School, Belford Junior, Memphis Tech High, finished in 1943.
Okay.
And I've just been a Memphian ever since. I married and moved to Arkansas, lived there for 20 years, then back to Memphis. So basically, I'm a Memphian.
You've been at this area, and you went to Tech, which is
Memphis Tech.
And then
It's a good school.
it's a great school. Many of my friends went there. Why don't we start off with Harry and say that? Let's find out how did you get in the Navy? What happened, and did you volunteer, drafted, or what? How did you join?
Back in 1943, I was about to be drafted. My brother was in the Navy, and he said, "You have a choice: Army, Navy, Marine Corps, but I think you ought to go Navy."
Yeah.
So I enlisted in the Navy in 1943. Went through boot camp, Bainbridge, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Went to radio school, advanced radio school, and at graduation, we were asked, "Does anybody want to join the submarine service?" And there were a bunch of us said, "Well, why not? Pay is better, food is good, and let's do it."
I heard the food was good. I heard the food was always good.
Best food in the Navy.
That's what I heard.
And we did qualify to go to submarine school, and while there, you qualified to be an applicant for school. Then you have to go through a number of tests to be approved.
Okay.
One of them, the water tower, 100-foot tower. You start at the 0 point and use a Mumson lung, and you have to go up the 100 feet to the top.
Straight up.
You have to be very careful not to go too fast. And they have guards all the way the line going up. Make sure you don't go too fast. If you do, your lungs explode and you're gone.
Yeah.
And the reason for that test is if your submarine is being depth charged, you're down at the bottom of the ocean, and you have to find a way, how do you get out? And if you can get out of an escape hatch, you get this line and go up to the top. Problem is, don't go too fast.
Okay.
The second test was the pressure test. You're in a tank, and they build the pressure up. Again, you're sitting on the bottom of the ocean, being depth charged, and pressure mounts.
Yeah.
And what happens? And if you can't handle the pressure, you literally mind explodes.
Your mind just goes.
So what we do there in that test is there were 6 of us that started out in the chamber, and if the pressure starts to mount and you can't handle it, you literally explode. They stop the test, let you out of the tank. We started with 6, we ended up with 2. I was one of the 2. And then you qualify to go on to submarine school.
The escape tower basically was really a tough test because you had to be careful. You could actually kill yourself if you went up too fast.
Yes.
The pressure test was just, if the Germans or whoever was depth charging you, you had to be able to take the concussion or the pressure.
Absolutely, because you had duties on the submarine, and if you aren't able to do your duties, something's going to happen to that boat. Everybody on a submarine has to do its job perfect all the time.
Well, that's how you got in the Navy, and it's an interesting story. Thanks for telling us about. Now, Ed, let's go over to you, 1943, right? What happened? Where did you, where did you go?
I was 18 years old, and when I finished high school, they had deferred me to let me finish high school before the Army took me or whomever. So anyway, one day after I finished high school, I went to Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, an induction center, and took all the tests and various other things, and they offered me the Army, Marine Corps, Navy. Well, I took the Army. After hearing Harry talk, we had to sleep in foxholes. He had a nice clean bed, the sheets and all.
He had some good food, too.
We had to eat K rations and D rations. He had marvelous food every night on the table. I'm sure served by a
wine.
waiter.
He may have had a little wine there with his food on.
So anyway,
Not American submarines.
Not American submarine.
I chose the Army because I never was much. I just couldn't imagine being on the water all the time.
Yeah.
It didn't appeal to me. So I chose the Army, and they sent me to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where I was trained.
Okay.
And then later on to Fort Meade, Maryland, and later on to Camp Miles Standish before I went overseas.
Okay.
That was
So you basically were trained. How many months did they train you? Only one.
well, I went in like in let's say real early June,
Okay.
and the following May, the following June is when we invaded Europe. So it's 1 year, more or less.
We're going to get to your story, how you got over there, in a few minutes.
I'll be glad to tell you when you ask me.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you to your story and what kind of a ship you. Now we got to get Harry down to Australia. Now tell us, did you go on a tin can or a nice freighter or something that you didn't want to get on when you went on your trip? You told me you went to Australia.
We didn't want to use up the good warships, so the leaving from San Francisco was January 1st, 1945. It was a Dutch freighter,
Okay.
the Coda N10. We went from San Francisco to New Guinea,
Yeah.
and from New Guinea to Manus Island in the Admiralties. And I was there for about 2 months. Remember, we were bombed by Japanese airplanes
On Manus
in
Island.
Manus Island several times. And then from there, I went to Brisbane, Australia, and then over on the East Coast to Fremantle, which was the submarine base for American, British, and Dutch submarines. It was the main port for submarines going north to the Philippines and on to
It was on the other
Japan.
coast
On the west coast.
It was on the West Coast, whereas viewers, the big cities, the way Harry told me and we discussed it, are on the other coast. They're on the East Coast, and you were on the West Coast.
The submarine base was on the west coast, which was much closer going toward Japan.
You just come around and go up to the Philippines or Japan.
Right.
When you were in the Admiralties, now it comes back in my mind because I've interviewed some guys that were down there. The Admiralties were kind of Australia is like the United States, and then New Guinea is like a chicken above it, a big rooster. But the Admiralties were what, north of?
They were islands, would be north and east of New Guinea.
North and east. And the Japanese occupied Rabaul, which we took the Solomons up there, but Rabaul we never did take. It was 40,000 Japanese there, and it was heavily fortified. I think they just skipped it. And you had a fortified, where you was a very fortified. Manus Island was.
It was one of the largest bases in the Pacific at that time.
Manus Island.
And the Japanese every now and then would just,
Came over and gave you some eggs.
well,
They gave you some bombs for breakfast.
it was a waste of their time, really, because they had very few of the large Navy warships.
Yeah, it was more really just a supply base. Okay, let's go over. We're in we're moving towards June the 6th, 1944, in Higgenbotham. Tell us how you got over. Now, tell us a little bit about how you got over there and how you got up to Omaha Beach. What kind of were you on a tin can?
I'll tell you.
On a tin can going over to Europe, or were you on the Queen Mary or the Queen Elizabeth?
No, I was we left from Boston, which was Camp Miles Standish.
Okay.
That was our POE. We were on a cruise on a ship called USS Wakefield.
Wakefield.
It had been a luxury liner.
Ooh, you didn't get a tin
That
can.
was nice.
You got a nice ship, much better than most of the guys got.
Wonderful going over. I'll tell you later about coming back. That wasn't so nice. Anyway, it took about 9 days. We landed at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that put us into about somewhere in the 20th of May or so. Okay. So about June the 6th, they shipped us from Liverpool to Southampton, which was our POE to go invade Europe.
That's
So we were
D-Day.
there June the 6th in Southampton. That very day is when our initial forces went in on Omaha Beach. So we went in they went in June the 6th. We went in about June the 9th or 10th as replacements. We had a whole battery of replacements, and so many were killed on the beach.
Yeah,
So we
you
had to
said you
replace
saw a
them.
lot of the bodies over there.
Oh, they were everywhere, even when we
German and American.
Yes. And so, whether it was good or bad, but they assigned me to the Brooklyn National Guard. Again,
Interesting.
a Southern boy messing with a bunch of boys from Brooklyn, it was kind of tough. But I learned to love all of them.
Yeah.
And we were on the beach about, I'd say, a good 2 days. And the first night it was really scary because they were shooting, every fourth shot would light up, and we were all in foxholes looking up, and most of us about 18, scared to death. You know, to be honest, we were.
The Germans were shelling you all night that first night.
We were shelling.
Did you get in you just dug foxholes? Is that what you
That's all. We had to sleep in a foxhole.
And you were actually down on, I know Omaha was over there last year.
Yeah.
It's so tall.
Oh, yeah.
And we still hadn't occupied the high ground.
No, sir.
The Germans were still
firing, and our aircraft were bombing them. And
bombing it pretty steady,
Yeah.
where they were.
Our
They were
artillery-
softening it up so that y'all could move on up.
Yeah, after a while, because of our artillery and because of the Air Force power,
Yeah.
we made the Germans retreated, and we started up the long hill to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And took over their former position. And as I told you earlier, there were Americans and Germans in ditches.
Both
dead,
sides. It was
both sides, and in death you
a
can't
bloodbath.
tell them apart. We're all fighting for our individual countries. Anyway, it was a terrible moment, and
Y'all went up through this. You went up far. Of course, it's a pretty good hike. It's about 15, 20 minutes just to walk up the hill from Omaha.
Certainly, especially with a full pack on your back.
Viewers, when you think of Omaha like this, when you go to Sword and the other beaches are fairly flat where the British landed, but we really got a tough beach there. That was
It really was
hilly
tough, yeah.
up a hill, and the cemetery is right where you landed. They have the cemetery. It's very impressive. If viewers need to go there, if they're ever in France, you can go to Paris and get a car. You can go by the Channel. And so we're going to stop. You have just gotten off the beach because the Army Air Corps had bombed them so badly they had to move back.
Yeah, they retreated.
They retreated, and the Navy was shelling them.
Yes, sir.
And between the Navy and the Army shelling, they just changed their mind about staying up there.
That's right, they left.
And you came up. Now, we're going to leave you and come back. You're just getting up out of there.
Okay.
Let's go back. We're going to talk a little bit. You were telling me about some training that you did up in New Haven, Connecticut. I want you to tell us the story about the time you had the problem with the hatch.
In New London, Connecticut, training school, we would go out on old O-boats. And we had a lieutenant commander, Annapolis graduate, was the commander of the sub. And half the crew was standard for the sub. Half the crew was in training.
Okay.
Everybody had an assignment. And one of these training cruises, somebody didn't do their job. The commander says, dive. Everybody goes to work, gets ready, the submarine dives. Somebody forgot to close a hatch. The water pours down in. Now the commander quickly says, abort, everybody, do your job, get this thing back up.
Okay.
We did surface, went back to the base. The commander lined everybody up on the dock and said, trainees, go back to barracks. The rest of you, I need to talk to. Mm-hmm. We never did find out what he said, but half that crew was dismissed from the submarine service. Now, one thing you have to remember, submarines go underwater. They don't carry water.
No, not long. They don't carry water too long.
The problem there was, had the commander not been able to get the sub back up quickly, we would have all gone down, and that would have been the end.
You were a trainee, so they just sent you back to the barracks.
Right.
But the other guys that were more moving forward,
The crew of the sub.
he didn't keep but about half of those guys.
He went through the whole list of people, what their jobs were, what they had done, and those that had not done what they should have were dismissed.
Yeah, because on a submarine is kind of like a plane. You can't make a mistake. You have to put your flaps down or flaps up, or if you're being attacked, the top turret gunner, he needs to let them have some, or you're going to get shot down.
There are no mistakes permitted.
On subs, and it's quicker because you're underwater. It's a real problem. Can you tell us a little bit about your training? What did you, when you got down to Australia, were you getting retraining any guys? Did you have to retrain some, or did you have to just train guys that had not been in?
All right, now as part of a relief crew, and the title means just that.
Okay.
Submarines come off battle cruises.
Okay.
Some of the crew will be replaced.
Okay.
The replacements come from the relief crew.
Okay.
I was a radioman striker.
Okay.
Did not get assigned to a submarine, but all the time I was there, we would go out on training cruises to learn.
It was constant training because you had to continue to train the submariners. It's because as you replace submarines, you had to replace some of the guys, and it was a constant. It was like the Army where they had a lot of wounded or killed in the Army, but you had a lot of fatigue, and you had to give the guys. You had also some subs that were sunk. I talked to a lady whose father was the last submarine. She works for my dermatologist. Her dad was over there in Java. It was the last American sub to be sunk. and you had loss of crews. When you lost the sub, you lost everybody,
Right.
generally. Except you said occasionally you could get the escape if you have an escape ship or something that would come to a disabled submarine. Say you had a submarine that had problems.
There are special ships that, submarine tenders,
Yeah.
one thing, and that's almost like a repair shop on water.
Okay.
If a submarine has any trouble, it ties up against these submarine tenders, and anything that needs to be done in repairs is done from that tender.
Right on the water. Now we're going to stop here for a minute, and I'll tell you. No, we're not going to stop because I wanted. No, we are. We're going to stop in the Pacific, but we want to go back to the Pacific. Ed, I want you to tell us about your Marine friend, John Ward, that was killed. He was your best friend.
Okay.
Killed. Well, let's see. You were with the First Army in Europe, correct?
Yes.
General Hodges. Mm-hmm. But when I talked to Ed, he wanted to tell us the story about your best friend. What happened? He went the other way.
I'll be glad to. It's a tragic story. John Ward and I were in high school together. He was my best friend. He was a delightful young man. Helped everybody. So we both, after we finished high school, went to Fort Oglethorpe for induction. Well, they examined us both, and of course, I was given a choice of Army, Navy, or Marine. Well, unluckily, they found a spot on his lung. Mm-hmm. So they declared him 4F. Yeah. He came home, and I went on to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. My first furlough, of course, I looked him up the minute I got here. That's how close we were. And he said, Ed, I walk down the street, and people look at me and say, why aren't you in the service? You look healthy. Yeah. He said, it gave me a complex. So he started working out at the YMCA almost 2 or 3 times a week and was re-examined. Mm-hmm. The spot on his lung was gone.
Took off.
He got a choice like I did earlier, the Army, Navy, or Marines. He chose the Marines. Mm-hmm. And within 90 days, I think 90 to 120, he was killed on the first wave of troops that invaded Okinawa.
Yeah, yep,
his mother, that was her son, ooh. And his father had left him before he even went to the service. So then after the war, I visited a long time with his mother.
His mother, she was devastating for her.
Oh, she was more than devastated because she lost
she raised him because his dad ran off.
Yeah, and her only son, he was gone. So that was a terrible.
He's a hero. He's a real hero. And the young.
He really was.
Think about those guys that were killed, and you really.
He didn't have to go, John.
He didn't have to go. He was, you think about that. I was going to also, before I forget, I was with you, Ed, and I was going to tell about, Ed brought he was in a lot of battle stars. He were in the battle at Normandy.
Yeah.
Each star, you get a little star to put across here for the Army. Mm-hmm. I guess the Navy does the same thing. Yeah. And you didn't bring yours, but you can tell us about it. Northern France, the battle in Northern France. And then the Ardennes, which was when Hitler punched a hole in, and that was a terrible, the largest battle in the history of the world, right there.
That's true.
Ardennes. The Rhineland, when you went over and you went into Germany and Central Europe.
Yeah.
And we're right now, do you want to tell us how you got, how y'all moved forward? You liberated Paris.
Okay, we, like I told you, the first little town was St. Lo. We liberated St. Lo.
Okay.
And we lost a few men there to incoming bombs and shells. We continued on, and we were the first motorized troops in Paris.
Okay.
And the French women kind of liked us.
They liked you, soldiers. Handsome 18, 19-year-old
Yeah,
Americans.
we kind of ate that up,
I bet y'all had a good time.
Did. That was a very nice time. After what we'd been through getting there.
Yeah.
Then we went from there to, I think it was Luxembourg.
Yeah.
From there to Belgium.
Okay.
And that's where we were when the Battle of the Bulge took place. We were right in the middle of it, Eupen and Liège, Belgium, right where the center of the Bulge was.
You were Liège.
We survived that, and after that was over, we joined Patton's army.
Third Army.
And we went to Czechoslovakia.
Oh, you went all the way down there.
Uh-huh. So when the war ended, I was in Czechoslovakia.
Well,
that's pretty well the history of it.
You saw a lot of action.
I did see a lot of action.
A lot of action. And there's we're going to go back here and talk to Harry. The one thing I want to ask you before we go back, did y'all have the forward artillery observers that were way out, and their life cycle was short because they were? Did you send the guys way out to observe German tanks and move?
Yeah, a couple of
They would
miles.
radio. You were sergeant. They would radio into you that there was a column of tigers,
Certainly.
and then at that time the 150
They'd give us the directions on where to put the shells and the
that would
elevation
stop the
and
tigers.
all of the SI.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd act on the.
They were very. A friend of mine did some of that. And they were very. They were heroes.
Yeah.
All right, Harry, we're back with you on training, and you were basically in that. And we talked about theaters. You were in, what was that called? The theater, the Australian, the battle as a Navy's terminology. That would be Australia, New Zealand would be one theater, Philippines another theater. Is that how the Navy?
Just Southwest Pacific.
Southwest Pacific. Okay, or it's because it's so big down there. Tell us about anything else that you observed when you were down in Australia. How did the people treat y'all?
Australians were our best friends.
Okay, I just want to know.
Everybody that spent any time in Australia would say, "I'd like to go back."
Okay.
They were so friendly, treated us all very well. You have to remember that in 1945, the war was pretty much on the downside.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the Japanese ships had been destroyed as we made our last move, and I think the war ended in August 15th.
It did.
August
Roughly.
15th, we dropped. Yeah, they surrendered. August 15th, 45.
From probably June of 45 through August, very little activity in the Southwest Pacific. Everything had moved up closer to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, those of us in relief crews, we were training, every day training, learn more. So the attempt to eventually get into the battle part of the war, we never saw.
Well, you were getting ready for the invasion of Japan, and you had to get all the submarines ready, and the Navy was getting keen on that because that was going to be a formidable task to land. And they said in casualties, Americans may have had 1 million, and the Japanese may have 3 million. And then Truman dropped the bomb, which shortened the war. And the Japanese, then he dropped another bomb. They didn't believe the first bomb. Then he dropped the other, and he didn't tell them he didn't have another bomb, but then they believed the second bomb, and they surrendered. And most of what do y'all think about that? I asked all the veterans about what Truman did.
I think it's a wonderful thing. I think he saved
a lot of American lives.
by dropping. He took many lives.
He took many, but he
saved
took
a lot more than he took.
80 or 90,000 were killed at Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
And it ended the war.
I want to thank both y'all for coming. God bless both y'all. Appreciate
you.
y'all for coming. Y'all guys are heroes as far as I'm concerned. You
Thank
helped
you
us
for having
from,
us, Victor. We appreciate
having to speak Japanese and German. you helped us. Thank y'all
Thank
for
you
coming.
for having us here.
We appreciate both of y'all. And we'll keep the golf going, won't we?
Yes, we will.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
We're going to play.
We
again.
will.
We're going to play.
You got to give me strokes.
Well, you got to give me something, baby.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.